and welcome to this session of Ideas for Change. I welcome Philip Landgren.
Thank you very much for having me.
Can you tell us more about yourself?
Yes, sure. I am a theoretical physicist. I do something called string theory. It's a theory of everything at University of Uppsala. And besides that, I also organize conferences. The next conference being TEDx Malmö, a very big conference in Malmö on the 12th of December.
What is TEDx? Can you tell us more?
Well, TED, first of all, is a yearly conference bringing together basically the brightest minds, doers, industry titans, scientists on Earth, sharing ideas worth spreading. It's typically a one-day conference featuring about 15 speakers on a very wide category of speakers, up to about 18 minutes talks or so. And TEDx, the X stands for independently organized TED conferences. So we, for example, TEDx Malmö, operate with a granted license from TED. And yes, on the same format, pretty much.
What is the main idea behind TEDx Malmö?
Well, the main idea behind TEDx Malmö is to do two things. We want to make a huge investment in the region, actually promote innovation in the region. We will actually do what will be the largest TED conference that has ever been organized, with about 14,000 seats, making it also the largest conference in Europe, the largest one-day conference, I should say. So we really want to inspire people, empower people, and the whole idea behind it is to basically put people's belief systems on a roller coaster.
So is there any special team, a family of concept?
Yes.
Is it general speakers, or are we going for bigger ones or special topics?
So yes, we have a different topic every year, although this is the first year in Malmö. So the theme of the year is "The future is now." So basically what we do is we tend to focus on innovation, sustainability, and what we can do now, urgent actions to create the future that we want to live in. And yes, what type of speakers we're looking for now, or that we have signed, are bigger speakers. So we are flying in people basically from all over the world, and some of them are a bit more obscure scientists, while someone are like international household names. So it's everything in between.
And how did you come up with the idea for going for a biggest TEDx?
Well, we didn't know that we were the biggest TEDx until like afterwards. I think our approach was like this. So if we are going to do a conference, a rather big conference, it's the same effort to do a smaller conference as doing a huge conference. Arguably, it's even easier to do a very large conference because you get another category of help. So it's as many sleepless nights, it's the same stress, and it's the same effort as doing a small conference. And I think in the process, we figured out like this is a pretty big conference, right? And then we just go, and then we see that it happened to be the biggest one that has ever been organized by far. So that was accidental.
So how many people is involved in this project?
We are working with various parties. We have event organizers, we have event agencies, production agencies. We're doing everything from light settings to sound. I think all in all, it's close to 40 people, I think. And then we have like a core team with some key people on about 15 people.
And so how is you handle coronavirus for a moment and the issue?
So what we did was that we had the event scheduled for the 19th of September, and we moved it to the 12th of December. Many of the conferences that were scheduled now or even in the summer, they postponed into after the summer, typically August or September. So we will have a lot of events going on around that time. So we postponed it for two reasons. Reason one, it's very hard to launch a very massive marketing campaign right now. And reason two, it will be less competition in December, and then it will be very nasty around that time with just a bunch of events. And what we do is that we are more cautious with how we do things, how we market the event, and we just to get to feel in the response as everyone else.
How will this inspire people after a rough period, do you think?
I think the idea behind TEDx is to ultimately inspire people. I think what will happen now is that I suspect that after some sort of quarantine in many countries and a period where people actually don't go out or attend this kind of stuff, people would be more eager to do so. And I think what better way to kickstart your stepping into the game than attending the greatest TEDx conference that has ever been organized. I think it's a very good way to start that journey.
Which will be your favorite keynote speakers?
My favorite keynote
speaker? Yes.
Oh, yeah, well, on this very event, I happen to be a very big fan of the lead singer in Iron Maiden. And I'm a big fan of many other speakers, which I, for various reasons, cannot mention right now because it's a bit confidential until we actually launch the event. But I will be very happy to do so in a very little while. And
how will this TEDx be marketing? Is in social media or newspaper? And
we will focus on social media. The vast majority of the marketing will be on social media. And luckily we can work with the strength of the brand, because TED is arguably one of the strongest brands that exist. So luckily we can ride on that wave and use that brand to actually reach a massive amount of people. But we do have a media budget as well. So we will do both unpaid and paid marketing for this event on social media. And we will also work with the speakers. We want to involve the speakers in this process as well. So yes.
Do you think the beach and everything will be open during this time, or can there still be some issues? Thinking about the airport.
Yeah, well, I don't know actually. I have no idea. What I suspect is that many very great organizers that have been in this game for very long, of course, they have never probably experienced something like the coronavirus, but I think that it will not be a problem in December, but I have no idea. I cannot say for sure. But,
yeah, I also believe that.
Based on the huge number of events that will be running before that rely on these airports and stuff, as you said, will not be closed. I would be surprised, but it's not impossible.
So what do you need help with today to make this successful, even if a hard time?
Well, I mean, we have a fantastic team in place. We have so many great, talented and highly experienced people. What we need help with, as we always need help with, is partners and sponsors. We finance, this is a non-profit organization, and we finance it with two ways, basically. So it's the ticket sales, obviously, and then it's sponsoring that actually allows us to have some capital to pay certain parties before we have access to that kind of money. So we are looking for sponsors that want to be able to market themselves in a very powerful and rare context. So that would be sponsors that could help us with plain cash, because the more sponsors we have, the less we need to compromise on the events.
I know that both you and Saga was responsible for TEDx and Lund. Which kind of experience can you bring with you from that?
TEDx Lund was a very small event, meaning that it's not very comparable, but I think how you work with the brand,
vad som hände. Det gick bara ner så.
So meeting is using
Okay, this one.
okej, jag kan inte svara på. Det ser ut som man ligger. I found guest.
Can you hear me, Philip?
No, he's left. I can't say why. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. I can't say why. Must have been his connection. There he is. I found guest. Here we go.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Is something happening with sound?
I guess he must be muted. Yes, he is. He has to unmute it. Please ask him to unmute his phone. There, try now. Kan you say something, Philip?
Hör du mig eller?
Yes.
Yeah. And now it's working again.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
So which, yeah. So which kind of keynote speaker did you have in Lund?
Well, in Lund, we had some very interesting speakers. We had, for example, Hampus Jacobsen, that is an investor in the region that has invested in, I think now over 90 startups or something like that. We also had a physicist from Uppsala, Ulf Danielsson, and some other very interesting people, such as the founder of the Vigo magazine, Matthias Christian, as well as a doctor, medical doctor, David Stenholtz. You can actually find them on YouTube if you just search for like TEDx Lund University.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah. So I think just now we have a cover with TEDx, but they're also interesting to, you can maybe talk more of your master, what exactly you're doing.
My master, all right. I need to be quick with my 2%. Yeah. So basically I study something called string theory, which is a candidate theory for the theory of everything. It's a very complex theory. It's highly mathematical. And the idea behind it is to describe fundamental particles. So everyone knows that the universe is made up of molecules that are made up from atoms that ultimately are made up from these things called quarks. But actually they fail to explain some certain things. So you go one step deeper, you say, hey, these actually are comprised by something called strings. And strings are like, as you would think, like a string on a guitar. And when they vibrate on certain frequencies, they create particles. So that would be a quark. And a string with a different frequency would be, say, an electron or another particle. And this strings is what actually allows us to combine the two great theories of the universe. Because right now we have two theories that describe the whole universe. We have general relativity, Einstein's light work, and we have quantum physics. But the thing about this is that these two theories don't talk to each other. And why would nature create two theories that hate each other? They are not compatible. That don't make any sense. What string theory does is to make these theories come together. It's like they bridge the two theories as we have and actually complete what we think ultimately would be the theory of everything in the universe.
So do you think something like this could be interesting to have on TEDx? Maybe not today, this time, but in the future?
I think so. I think it's very healthy to have perspectives about how complex the universe is and how we think about the universe. And I think that will be reflected in many other aspects in our life. So absolutely, I think it would be a great opportunity to actually share. some key insights. There are some, I know already, there are some very interesting TEDx speech on specifically string theory, which I find very interesting.
What is your plan after your master? Are you interested in starting a PhD in this field, or?
I will continue, yes, I will continue to do research within this topic, perhaps also something very slightly different, but in the end of the day, it's also string theory. So I will continue with my work on string theory, and I will also, of course, continue to organize events, which are two very different things, but for some strange reasons, it happened to be very convenient of working on those two different things.
So it's just in Uppsala you can study this, or is it possible to do it somewhere else in Sweden?
If you want to do string theory, you want in Sweden, you want to be in Uppsala. Actually, if you live anywhere, you probably want to be in Uppsala, because Uppsala is a world leader in string theory and other very adjacent subjects. So it's a very respected research group here that works on that. You cannot go to any other place. If you cannot go to Lund. They are not very good at string theory. Otherwise, you have to go abroad. And, I'm planning on going to actually Canada, Perimeter Institute, or in the UK.
So what you're doing today now, when is university closed, or is it still possible for you to do some studies?
It is indeed, because actually it don't affect me that much. Right now I'm working on a project, and we who are involved here usually meet up once every week. Other than that, we just work over distance. So it's very convenient for us in that sense, because we can just continue as normal, namely doing stuff over Skype and Zoom, which are very nice. And when it comes to work as well, I mean, wherever I have a computer, I can do work. So it don't affect me directly, but it do affect me indirectly, because the people who don't have the same luxury situation as I do are not as accessible, and that affects me.
So how do you find time for doing all of this university, TEDx, and your own job?
Luckily, I have a very great team, so they help me a lot with everything. I don't do all the things by myself. I do certain things, allowing me to also focus on, say, research and string theory, which are very nice. But yeah, my schedule is very busy. It takes effort for sure.
So how do you find time to talk with a keynote speaker if they are bored, and like in USA? Can you hear me, Philip? Something just happens. We have to wait a little. And we're waiting for the next guest. They will come in soon. I will be back again in 2 minutes. Wait a little.
Nej, visar oss. Kan man pausa lite? Det är bara att vänta. Nej, men du får prata så länge, det är ju live nu. Ja, berätta lite om
Ja. Jag har one.
Det enda jag tänkte på, hur tror jag lägger till nästan på min sen? You have to put them on, yes. And then you have participants here and you just admit here in the list. So that's how it works.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay. You
Yeah.
have the stream here so people are listening.
Yes. So now we is waiting for Vabe. I can talk a little about myself. My name is Paul Wennerberg, and I'm a sales manager of Secumia. I'm responsible for the Swedish market. It's a remote access solution. And beside that, you're also deputy president of USI Sweden. And I have also my own company, Shatak Consulting, when I develop new ideas. So for the moment, they're working on ideas like biosensors, we print electronics to put. So in the future, it will be possible to do testing at home instead of visiting the hospitals. One thing I really love to do is traveling and meet people and networking and trying all the time to figure out new ways. And also reason I'm a part of a TEDx team. And I help in supporting Philip Langen with what he's doing and bringing in the best keynote speakers and finding sponsors. Another thing I love to do is working international and network and try to do something new all the time. A couple of years ago, me and one friend, Andreas Sätel from Germany, and another friend, Mike Kadici, we was founded Scandinavian Business Hub. We are connecting hubs and clusters around the Baltic Sea and the North Sea with medtech, biotech, health tech, IT. So our idea is to make more connection internationally. And by that way, I am now creating a network around the whole world. And for every day, my network is becoming bigger and bigger. And a lot of that thanks to USI also. Hello, Johan. Can you hear me? We are now waiting for Johan Olsson and Jenny Olstedt to join this meeting. Jenny Olsson is Jenny Olstedt is for the moment in another meeting and will soon join. Hi, Johan. Can you hear me? Trying to make connection. Hello, Johan. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? I'm trying to solve some issues here. Johan, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Jenny, oh, can you hear me? We have some issues with our sound. Can you try to say something, Johan?
Absolutely. What do you want me to say?
And you, Jenny?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Greetings from Stockholm.
Yeah.
And greetings from Masud.
Sounds really good. And so I will introduce you here, Johan Olsson and Jenny Olstedt from GSI. So maybe you can start, Jenny, to introduce yourself.
Yes. So hi everyone. I'm really happy to have this honor to join this fantastic initiative, this event, and to be able to tell you something about JCI here. I myself, I'm a JCI member already for over 12 years. I joined JCI in Finland many years ago, 2008, and been very active member ever since. Why joining JCI was to learn new things. I thought it was a business network. It was it also, but I found so many other things too in JCI, so that's why I kept on continuing and learning new things. And what I do outside of JCI is I'm an entrepreneur, and I have my own small company. All of the staff members are now in this call, so it's only me, yes. And I have a couple of clients, and at this moment, the biggest project that I have ongoing is I'm working to build a PEP register, so a register of politically exposed persons in Finland to a Swedish company, and helping them to fight against the anti-money laundering that is like settled in the EU legislations. And then I'm also organizing some company events and I'm also like performer on piano music and such, doing almost anything a client wants if I'm able. So that's very shortly about me.
Can you explain a little more about your role within JSI
Yes,
and your position for a moment?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this year I have a very, very special opportunity in JCI to be acting in the International Board of Directors. So my position is to be JCI Vice President, and that means that I am like the contact person and assigned to be responsible for 7 countries in Europe at this year, 2020. And those countries are United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland, Malta, Italy, Cyprus, and Moldavia. So I have been traveling quite a lot already in the beginning of the year. And actually at this moment, if we didn't have this pandemic going on, so I would have been this weekend in Scotland joining their event. But unfortunately, this has also caused quite some changes to my plans and the travels that were planned, so that I could be helping live those members and organizations. But of course, now when situation is here, then we have to adapt, and we have put quite many online events instead. Actually, 5 minutes ago, I was still in another online call that was hosted from JCI Tunisia. So I was there telling some experiences of projects that I have been doing during my JCI time according to the Active Citizen Framework. So it's really interesting to be able to do many things and being in contact with different countries in JCI.
Thank you, Jenny. Can you tell a little more about you, Johan?
Absolutely. So if Jenny just came from an online meeting, I just came from the soccer field with my kids. So a bit different there, I think. Okay, so this year I am the national president of Junior Chamber International, the Swedish part. We have a concept which we call 1 year to lead, because we're a development organization, developing leaders. So you get to lead 1 year, and then it's someone else's turn. And 2020, it's my turn to lead this organization in Sweden. When I'm not trying to organize JCI Sweden, I work as a senior change manager for one of Sweden's largest telecommunication companies, trying to drive change within that organization, just as we try to drive change in society with the JCI Sweden. So hopefully,
I continue.
We'll see if my kids will storm the office soon. We'll see. So I'm going to give you an excuse in beforehand if I need to mute myself and take care of them.
Corona time.
Yeah, it's you know, in my home office, it works well most of the time until the kids get home from school. Then it's a bit chaotic.
And somebody of you explain a little more about the ESI and the structure, how it's working international level, national level, and a local level.
Shall I take it? At least start, then Johan can fill in. Yeah, so I would say that the most important part of JCI is what is happening locally. So at this moment, when JCI is over 105-year-old organization, so we are now in about 5,000 communities around the world. So in different cities, municipalities, having local organizations, different sizes, from just a couple of members, 20 members, to very big ones. For example, in Japan, I think JCI Osaka is the biggest local organization we have with 600 members. But for example, in Sweden, I think we are closer to the 20-member level. And like in Sweden, we have local organizations in different cities, and that is then all these local organizations belong to JCS Sweden that Johan is leading now this year. And on international level, these national organizations we have in over 100 countries at this moment. So in Europe, we have around 40 countries, and then in other areas, America, Asia, Pacific, and then Africa and the Middle East. So we have around 100 nationalities or national organizations together, and then the international board of directors. So then we are like guiding and being in contact with all of these national organizations. And we have headquarters, our office in St. Louis in the USA, where all started then 105 years ago, when our founder Henry Gissenbier and his fellows then started that, okay, we need to start doing something for the community, and also started locally, so from local actions. But when we do different things in these communities, then it becomes a global movement, and we make global impact through these local actions.
So Johan, can you explain a little more about how it's working in Sweden?
As Jenny mentioned, this is a grassroots movement. Every action starts from a local level, trying to identify what's needed for their local communities and taking action on that. That's one of the things we do. I would actually start to say that we're a development organization. We do what we do to develop our members to become the future leaders of the world. Since we want the future leaders of the world to be better persons, doing good for our communities is a big part of it. But the other part, except for doing good, is it also creates it also creates a development opportunity for the members. So it's a two-way street. We create useful things for the community, and while doing so, we create better leaders for the future. Talking a bit about Sweden, then we have local organizations from Sundsvall up north to Malmö down south, and some cities in between: Uppsala, Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Halmstad. We have local organizations in various, a lot in size, from about 30, which is currently the largest one, to smaller ones, more or less just starting up. So it differs a bit from year to year. You're no longer considered a junior, so you can't be part of Junior Chamber International. So then you get to graduate, you get to go into the world and continue to do good things. So that's a little bit both about the organization and Sweden.
So what is the vision and mission of ESI?
You want to take that, Jenny?
Yeah, I can. So the mission for JCI is to provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. So like 3 things there: those development opportunities for us members, but also then to the others. And through that, we get empowered, and then also when we put it forward, creating that positive change in the community. And then I think that circle just goes on and on and on. We can learn new things every year. And the vision is to be the leading global network of young active citizens, so that we are really being global, although we act locally, and creating leaders that goes very well to that.
And adding to that, Henry Gissenberg, who our founder over 100 years ago, his vision for the organization, in his words, was let's get together and do stuff to create an everlasting world peace. So you could say that it's not worded anywhere, but our goal, our ultimate goal, is ultimate world peace. How we want to create that is by creating better leaders. So everyone has to do their part. There are many pieces of that puzzle. One of the pieces is better leadership, and with better we mean both being a good leader but also being a good person. So that's more or less what our development opportunities are all about. And I actually like to the vision about being the global network for young active citizen. It's all about gathering up awesome people and to inspire each other to help create that better world. So just adding to the mission and vision. And do you agree, Jenny?
Very good at it. Yeah.
Thank you.
I totally agree. Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
I agree too. It sounds really good. But if you're looking back in the past, how have you helped countries after crisis? Like after the Second War and after the split in Soviet?
There has been different projects after different crises all over the world. At some point, we gathered them around the like common topic or theme, Operation Hope. For example, we had Hope for Haiti after their crisis, and we've had those projects in Japan. Now I don't have the complete list here to check, but those have been like the biggest projects that have become then also international projects, support coming from many countries all over the world. I think the latest bigger project that we had in like a bit worldwide before this whole COVID-19 came around, those fires in Australia, they got support from JCI organizations all around the world to donate some money and helping in concrete ways then to get help. But usually it's so that the local action is needed there, and then support any help possible coming also from other parts of the world. Johan,
it's actually kind of cool to be part of the networks when something happens in the world, like the fires in Australia, because they reach out and say, can you do something to help us? And the response is immediate and big. But it should also be noted, like Jenny said, this is an organization that mostly aims to create action on a local level. So these grand, international big projects, well, they are there, but I think the most use we do is in the 5,000 local communities that we are in. The helping the elders, or the smaller things that's perhaps not something you put up on a big poster. One of the things I think is kind of cool is when there was a nuclear meltdown in Fukushima, the first help trucks that arrived were from JCI. It should be noted that JCI in Japan is a very, very large organization. Obviously, we don't have trucks in Sweden. But there are some cool footages of the JCI trucks coming in with supplies for all the helpers. So I suppose that's one example where we've done some poster ability good.
And now, from a couple of weeks ago, I would say an example from Moldova, so a country that I'm assigned to. when they started to have this corona epidemic going on strongly. So the national president, Emprogage, sent a message to the European national presidents that, can you help us? We need the masks and some kind of overalls to cover ourselves and to be able then to help those who already are infected. So then we got contacts from JCI Hong Kong that, hey, we can send you materials. We have here more than what is needed at this moment. So also this way we can easily make the help then provided to the place where it's mostly needed at that point.
It's the power of a global network, I suppose, and you know, everyone wants to help out in any way they can. And
yeah,
it is kind of cool, you know, to see the response when someone asks for help.
Indeed. And it might feel a small thing if what I can do from Stockholm, maybe personally I cannot do much. I might be able to make that connection to somebody else to use the network that I have. Or then if I donate to something that they need to buy, if I put like 100 crowns or 10 euros, whatever is the currency there, but just a small amount of money from me. But when many people do the same, then where it's crisis, they get a lot of help and a lot of things bought with that amount. So I know that I did my part.
So how can you say support institutes and spread them on the global level? I mean, like the cleanup days was started in Estonia. And after that, after a while, it become on an international level instead. And put it on our own organization.
Yeah, you're talking about some of JCI's international projects.
Yes.
And like we've said, our projects are mainly focused on a local level. Take World Cleanup Day for an example. It started as a project to solve an issue in Estonia in one of the local communities, and it spread to the rest of Estonia. And you know, inspiring stories and great ideas they spread, and it was adopted from the rest of the world. Here in Sweden, it's not run as a JCI project anymore. It's actually Håll Sverige Rent that's adopted World Cleanup Day as theirs, but it is started as a JCI project, and it differs from different parts of the world. How it can help? Well, most of, or if not all of the projects start as a local project. If it's a good idea that should work in other parts of the world, we have ways like a project gallery where you can get inspired by other countries and what they're doing. And sometimes these great projects are also brought up on our international events as good examples, and sometimes adopted from the rest of the world. But it's important to say that we are a grassroots movement. It's not like someone from our world headquarters come and say, this is what you should do, because it starts locally, and it's their ambitions and their creativities and their willingness to help out that creates the movement. So no one can ever tell you, you need to do this. So international projects are started because it inspires people.
Mm. Yeah. And I would say that it's great when these ideas come there locally, so people really commit to the projects when they have been the ones inventing it from the scratch. And then when you hear or read from the project gallery of these other examples that have been done, and you get inspired by that, in JCI we think it's only a good thing when you copy and develop somebody else's project. So it's not like I did it, I keep it as a secret, but we want to share these ideas so that we share best practices, and also want to, when it's done once, we have like reported what we did, and somebody else can do it even better. in their community, because we have this be better also as one way to do it, and always trying to learn more and develop ourselves and the things that we do.
And the next question, how do you believe JCI can support the human being after this rough time when the coronavirus is over? What can we do?
I could say from what I see now, when having more time nowadays in social media to check what friends all over the world are doing. So I'm happy to see and say that I see already many projects being started all over the world in different countries, different cities, and different campaigns focusing on different aspects of the problem and how to like help with the solution from different point of views. So some projects, for example, in Brussels, they started a campaign how to help people who are stuck at their home. They are not allowed to leave the building to go, for example, go shopping. Old people over 70 years, they have to be home. So they started a campaign that they just write what they need from the food store, like not a very, very expensive shopping list, but I think they had rule for 20-30 euros, so 200 to 300 crowns, and then some of the neighbors go and shop and then delivers the package to the door. So easy way to help, but making a very important role in this, trying to keep the numbers down for them.
It's interesting that you highlighted that particular project, because we actually had members who helped that project to translate everything to Swedish. So it's an international website where you download a form. It's more or less a shopping list and some information of this is what we have found working to help your neighbors shop for those who can't leave their apartments for different reasons. Mm-hmm. So that particular one will help out within Sweden as well. So there's a Swedish version, and also because we have a member who owns a translator firm, they translated it to Latvian as well.
Great. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the way to also spread all these good campaigns, so we can do them in many places. So this online opportunity, how to spread the word, is also really, really good here.
What we see in the world right now is a lot of awareness campaigns from different JCI countries, washing your hands and the social distancing part. Obviously, in a while, we'll have crossed over a line where, other types of help is needed. And it's part of our journey as an organization to identify what is needed right now. And to be honest, no one can be sure what is needed in a while. Mm. But what we are starting to see is that companies are hurting a lot. And, there will probably be a lot of community projects aiming to help rebuild the economy, I would guess.
Yeah, I also thought that what can I do as an individual, and of course not only alone, but I got this idea to start project Keep Sweden Rolling, Håll Sverige igång. So with that project idea, find ways to support especially local small businesses. So that what could we do to those companies who are not getting now customers to coming to their shops, or whatever can be then the reason for that the money flow in is not happening at the moment. How could we help that? So I try to find ideas, and I hope you will hear about it soon more.
So Jenny, how do you think we should do to get more people involved and start and create these kinds of projects? Because for the moment, people have time to do stuff.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think that people in Sweden have now started to like open up. Me, who come from Finland, officially, and it was a bit different culture when I entered the Swedish culture. That here people, in my opinion, from my point of view, were a little bit more like individuals. Only me and my phone. That's the most important.
Are you saying we're closed up, Jenny?
That I don't remember at what year did I have those thoughts, but it felt a little bit like that, because in Finland it was, or my experience from Finland was more that people belong to many organizations. They go to some kind of events more. They wanted to be more in touch with neighbors, for example. Here we barely knew who are living in the same house. So but I think now with this crisis, even the Swedish people are opening up more and getting to know, like, yeah, if we know that somebody in the house is needing help to go shopping, so we offer our help now. So we open and maybe being more than connected, not physically at this moment when we have to keep the 2 meters line, but mentally coming closer.
I think, you know, if there's ever a positive thing about a crisis, it is just that, you know, we see people wanting to help out in all parts of society. I'm not talking about JSI members now, I'm talking about, you know, everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's really, really cool that that everyone is, you know, digging in, trying to do their part. And it's not only about time, it's about, you know, the willingness to commit to helping out. So it's that's really inspiring if you know, watch social media or, you know, even the news reporting. Everyone trying to do their part. So
yeah,
that's at least one positive thing coming out of this, and hopefully we'll, as a country and as a world, you know, remember this and keep doing it even after we have succeeded in beating this crisis.
Yeah, indeed.
So how can we have more online meetings instead of monthly meetings? I think by having this kind of solution, it probably must be easy to invite people and share ideas and come up with new things.
Absolutely. I think also when talking about the development opportunities for JCM members, so at least for me now during the last month, I would say I have been using 2 totally new technical applications for online meetings or web seminars. So learning all the time, and the more you practice, the better you come. So that I'm sure many of our events is very possible to organize now online instead. And of course we wait for the time when we come back to live meetings too, but I think we are doing good with online meetings.
I actually think it's quite good. That's another positive, you know, of everyone being forced to stay at home. You know, the environmental impact of not traveling so much is, as of now, it's already in effect. But also people people are more or less forced to having to learn to use online tools, and that we will hopefully also see, you know, the positive upside of even after, you know, when we're allowed to leave our homes again.
Yeah, like we have now the possibility to take contact to like what we now have, Sundsvall, Stockholm, Malmö in this call, or like I was just like the half an hour ago in contact with Tunisia and other parts of the world. And also tonight I will host one more online meeting, and I know that there are also people attending from various countries. So this kind of possibility we wouldn't have even been thinking about that we could have if we didn't have the case that now we have to figure out something. So thinking out of the box will definitely come in these days.
And the last question, because we continue now just a couple more minutes. What is the best part with GSI?
the hardest question. Johan, please start you.
I think it's actually the most easy question. For me, it's all about the people. You know, being part of a network with awesome people who are dedicated to create a better world. It's inspiring. You know, and since most of them also know how to have a great fun, it means that many of them have become my best friends. So the people, absolutely, for me.
That is absolutely the correct answer, I would say too. Now I'm thinking.
You have to say something else now, Jenny.
Yes. Why I said that it's the hardest question is because there are so many good things that JCI has given to my life now during already in 12 years. So that's why I was thinking, how could I only choose one? But yeah, if I now take something else, so yeah, what I have become personally, what I have learned, developed as a person and as a leader, starting from 2008 when, well, okay, I had been also an active scout earlier, so I had been a leader in a way. I had been speaking a little bit in front of an audience, but through JCI, those experiences that I've got, like for example, being a candidate for international board of director position, like in last November in Tallinn in our World Congress, there in the General Assembly, having my election speech for, I think nobody counted exactly, but the rumor said it was like 1,000 people there in that hall listening to that speech. So you could become a bit shaky if you haven't been practicing. So I think that was one really, really fantastic opportunity that I have got now as a JCI member. And JCI can take you to places where you would otherwise not have a chance to go. For example, visiting a president's castle or meeting the Prince Albert of Monaco, who is also a JCI senator, a previous JCI member. So this kind of very nice memories that you get when you participate actively. Just say yes to those opportunities that JCI offers. So then your life will never be the same.
Also a good answer, Jenny.
Thank you.
So which one is your favorite Congress?
I would say always the next one, because I've been to 10 European conferences, 2 Asia and the Pacific area conferences, 8 world congresses, and I think it was over 50 other international events, many national, regional or local events. So you get hooked in this organization about the sessions that you go to, the programs, the people that you meet, and you always know that there will be the next ones. So at this moment, we don't know when it's gonna be the next conference we're gonna participate live, but I'll be there.
Good last words.
What is yours, Johan?
Oh, I can't say the same thing now. I haven't been in as many World Congresses as you. I think I've only been to 2. Yet. True. It's true. I'm not sure I will ever be at your level, Jenny. We'll see. This year, hopefully, we will meet the rest of the world in Japan. We will see. It's in November, but thumbs crossed. We'll hopefully be able to meet there. And I have a lot of high hopes for the World Congress in Japan, since it's our largest organization and they're brilliant at organizing events. So hopefully that will be the best one, which also happens to be the next one.
Sounds good. And now it was the last question, and the last ones. And thank you, Jenny, and thank you, Johan, for joining the meeting.
Thank you, Paul. Doing great job.
Thank you for having us. have fun for the rest of the days.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye.